The Pallas cat, also known as Pallas cat, and in Mongolia the Manul, is a heavily furred 5.5 to 10-pound cat species that generally occurs in rocky steppe and stony outcropping areas of Asia. It is usually found at elevations ranging from about 2,000 to almost 16,000 feet. The individual seen here is a female Pallas cat that, as we will observe later, is raising several 10-week-old kittens at the time this footage was obtained. German naturalist Peter Pallas first described this feline in 1776. He named it Felis Manul and theorized that it was an ancestor of the Persian cat due to its round face, luxurious coat, and stocky body. However, Pallas cats are members of the leopard cat group, which diverged from the common ancestor of domestic cats some 5.9 million years ago. Thus, evolutionarily, Pallas cats are not particularly close relatives of domestic cats. It should be mentioned that the particular videos seen now, as well as some others throughout the presentation, were obtained by one of 9 camera traps that we set up near this Pallas cat's den. These cameras are triggered by motion of objects within a relatively close range. The woolly Pallas cat underfur is about twice the length of that of the remainder of the body. Notably, the underbelly fur of the Pallas cat is longer than the fur of any other wild cat species. As can be seen in the reddened areas on this map, Pallas cats occur in Central Asia, from the Caspian Sea through Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and northern India to central China, Mongolia, and southern Russia. Populations in the southwest portions of their range, the Caspian Sea region, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, are diminishing, isolated, and scarce. Pallas cats are sparse in the Tibetan Plateau, where an elevation record of 16,570 feet, or 5,050 meters, was recorded for this species in 2007. Mongolia and Russia now make up the majority of their range. In this map, the present well-documented occurrence of Pallas cats is shown in orange, while possible range outside of these areas is shown in purple. The fact that scientists are not more certain of the Pallas cat's actual range is due to the difficulty of observing this elusive small predator in the wild, which has led to rather limited study of it under natural conditions. Our Pallas cat study area was located about 30 kilometers or 20 miles southwest of the village of Altanbulag Sum. Here we see the Pallas cat camp, located in an almost treeless ecoregion known as the steppe. Note that the camp consists of 4 traditional Mongolian tents known as gears. Pallas cats are found in a steppe habitat characterized by an extreme continental climate with little rainfall, low humidity, and a wide range of temperatures. They occur in cold, arid grassland interspersed with stony outcrops and in stony deserts. Steppes occur between the tropics and polar regions. These steppes are semi-arid, meaning they receive only 10 to 20 inches of rain each year. This is enough rain to support short grasses, but not enough for tall grasses or trees to grow. Many kinds of grasses grow on steppes, but few get taller than 20 inches. As rather small predators, Pallas cats prefer valleys and rocky areas where they have some cover, and they are generally absent in open habitats. They tend to avoid areas where snow cover exceeds 4 inches, that is 10 centimeters, and their ecological limit of continuous snow cover is 6 to 8 inches, 15 to 20 centimeters. We now observe the mother Pallas cat emerging from her den in the morning to begin her hunting. Her prey consists primarily of a variety of rodent species and of pika, which are small relatives of rabbits. Note that although we are located some 1,500 feet from her and up the opposite side of a ravine, she is nonetheless keenly aware of our presence despite having covered ourselves in camouflage netting. Finally, hunger and a strong instinctive desire to provide for her kittens causes the mother to venture out from the safety of her lair. She easily ascends the almost vertical rocky face of her home in search of her prey. Note that there were a number of rodent species that were especially abundant at this time of the year here. One of these is the Mongolian Silver Vole. This is a relatively large rodent, and it therefore represents a large nutritional benefit relative to energy invested in its capture by the Pallas Cat mother. Sometimes this vole can be rather easily captured from behind. Our guides claim that a single adult Pallas Cat mother providing for her family can consume up to 24 Mongolian silver voles in a single day. Certainly this helps in keeping exploding rodent populations in check. The Daurian Pika is a small relative of rabbits and hares in the order Lagomorpha. It is well known for its barking alarm call. It is a common and rather large prey of the Pallas Cat. We see here that the mother continues to hunt. Note how she remains ever vigilant of both our presence as well as potential threats that might come from above, including large birds of prey. This is Brandt's vole, which, though quite a bit smaller than the Mongolian silver vole that we just saw, is nonetheless often a very important nutritional source for the Pallas Cat. Brandt's voles typically have 4 or 5 broods each year, with each litter consisting of about 7 young. Population levels are subject to wide swings. Under unfavorable conditions, this vole can be wiped out of some of the regions in which it normally is found. This, of course, can adversely affect Pallas Cat populations. But when the conditions are right, mass Brandt's vole outbreaks can occur. This periodically happens in Mongolia when millions of hectares of pasture are invaded. Under this onslaught, the pastures can become very bare, poor subsoil can be brought to the surface by burrowing activities, and coarse weeds can become established. All of these seriously harm the grazing for domestic animals. Thus, the role of the Pallas Cat in helping to keep Brandt's vole levels down should be practical incentive for protection of this unique feline species. Similarly, the often abundant Mongolian Gerbil is also an important food source for the Pallas Cat. Note that this rodent is larger than Brandt's vole, but less massive than the Mongolian silver vole that we saw earlier. The mother Pallas Cat is now seen farther from her lair as she forages in the higher elevation, less steeply inclined regions away from her den. She is looking for rodents, birds, and insects, all of which are common prey of Pallas Cats. Like domestic cats, the Pallas Cat will also take its share of small birds as prey. Among these are the Isabelline Wheatear and the rock sparrow, the latter seen here calling out in song to other members of its species. Here we see another, though unidentified, rodent species, no doubt another food source for the Pallas Cat. Note the mother's stealthy, low-to-the-ground advancement through the hunting area. This is a predator that benefits from a slow approach, one that might only be detected by the prey when it is too late to flee. Let's simply enjoy a few photographs of the Pallas Cat mother navigating through her rocky realm in the morning. While she is preoccupied primarily with feeding, she does take a few moments to enjoy a roll in the dirt, which also has the practical benefit of better marking her territory. Although, as we noted earlier, the Pallas Cat is not closely related to the domestic cat, it nevertheless displays behavior that is characteristic of the domestic cat as well as most other feline species. And note how she remains ever aware of our presence. Here is the face of a Pallas Cat kitten, the offspring of the mother. This picture was obtained by visiting the den and peering into the labyrinth home created by the overlying large rocks. The kitten, still with much to learn, looked back out from its home, wondering in all innocence, no doubt, just what was intended by these large, strange visiting creatures who move about on two legs. Here we see a Pallas Cat kitten learning how to effectively negotiate its rocky habitat. This skill will be essential to this individual's future survival here in the rather harsh conditions of the Mongolian Steppe. Pallas Cat kittens often play with one another while mother is about foraging. Sometimes, as it gets to be a few months old, a kitten may wander off too far away from its mother. This can lead to it becoming lost permanently. It will then not likely survive without the mother's care. But it seems that this youngster knows how to stay safe and not wander far from the den. We can note that breeding in Pallas cats is highly seasonal, with mating taking place December through March and kittens being born in late March to May. The duration of estrus in females is only 24 to 48 hours. Gestation has been measured between 66 and 75 days in captivity, and kittens have been born in late April and May in Siberia. The litter size is 1 to 6, usually 3 or 4. Kittens have a dark, woolly coat without the frosted appearance of the adults. The striping on the sides is more pronounced in kittens and fades as they grow. They molt their juvenile coat around 2 months of age, at which time they weigh about 1.2 pounds. They are independent at 4 to 5 months and achieve adult size and weight at around 8 months of age. Sexual maturity is reached at 9 to 10 months. Pallas cats have lived up to 20 years of age in captivity. In the wild, they tend to live to a maximum age of 10 years. Mortality is high in this species, with 68% of the kittens not surviving to disperse into their own ranges. Adult mortality is estimated at 50%, with most deaths occurring in the winter months of October through April. Known predators include large eagles, red fox, and domestic dogs. The Upland Buzzard is a commonly encountered bird of prey of the Mongolian Steppe. While it notably feeds upon many of the same rodents that the Pallas cats eat, it may also prey on the Pallas cat itself. Perhaps, however, the Upland Buzzard poses more of a threat to kittens than to an adult Pallas cat, which may be too large for this bird. We can see here that the Upland Buzzard has captured a rodent, which it delivers to one of its 2 chicks, which are waiting in the nest of a nearby tree. This is the largest buzzard and the largest member of the Buteo in the world based on total length and wingspan, though it is roughly equaled in bulk by the North American ferruginous hawk, which is also only marginally smaller. The Upland Buzzard frequently hovers. It hunts from air or ground. Breeding occurs between April and August in trees or on crags and ledges of cliffs. Here we see the mother cleaning herself after a busy morning of hunting. She is no doubt tired and ready for an afternoon siesta. Pallas cats are crepuscular, active primarily around dawn and dusk. Like the Upland Buzzard, the Corsac Fox is a predator that eats many of the same species consumed by the Pallas Cat. However, the Corsac Fox is probably more a potential predatory threat to both the kittens and adult Pallas Cats than is the Upland Buzzard. It is the great speed of both the Corsac Fox and the larger and even more dangerous Red Fox that can make this feline's encounter with one of these predators become a fatal affair. Again, we can appreciate the constant vigilance that the Pallas Cat must use so as to avoid encounters with these canids. The Red Fox seen here had just passed very close to the Pallas Cat's den. It is right now being dive-bombed, if you will, by a kestrel and another bird species. It appears that this Red Fox is eating a rodent. The birds are no doubt unhappy with the fox being here, as it may be much too close to their nests. And of course, the efficient hunter known as the Gray Wolf would easily kill and consume an unwary Pallas Cat that was out of the safety of its den at the wrong time. Indeed, though a predator, the Pallas Cat is by no means a top predator. It must constantly remain alert if it is to survive in the presence of some rather formidable neighbors. This mother wolf and her 5 pups represent a very real threat to the Pallas Cat, as the feline's habitat directly overlaps with that of the much larger wolf. The red deer is an herbivore that in no way competes with the Pallas Cat for food resources. However, it does consume plants which, in turn, are converted into fecal matter that effectively fertilizes much of the Pallas Cat habitat. This is significant to the Pallas Cat in that the resulting fertile ground supports other plants that, in turn, support rodent and insect life, both of which are prey of the Pallas Cat. This Ruddy Shelduck, too large to be a prey of the Pallas Cat, paid a short visit to the Pallas Cat den area, and the encounter was captured by one of our camera traps. Weighing up to as much as 18 pounds, the Siberian Marmot as an adult is likely too large to be preyed upon by the Pallas Cat. However, young Siberian Marmots can potentially become a meal for the feline. More importantly, Pallas Cats make use of the security and stable, warmer temperature characteristic of the marmot's burrows and underground passageways as overwintering abodes. Indeed, the Pallas Cat often depends on these marmot holes to survive the harsh steppe winter, during which surface ground temperatures may drop down to minus 40 degrees Celsius or colder for days or even weeks. It is important to emphasize the key role played by insects in recycling nutrients in just about any terrestrial ecosystem, that of the Mongolian steppe being no exception. Here we see a Brandt's vole, partially consumed by a predator, probably a fox, being converted into useful nutrients to support a local ant colony. And we also see the carcass of a least weasel, probably also killed by a Corsac fox whose den was nearby. The remnants of flesh of this weasel are being removed from the bones by a beetle. Like the ant, beetles and other flesh-eating insects help to keep nutrients moving through and supporting the ecosystem. In the steppe, larger carcasses, such as those from a goat, horse, or camel, may have the nutrients they contain readily passed on to higher trophic levels, that is, feeding levels, within an ecosystem through being scavenged by vultures, such as this Cinereous Vulture, also known as a Eurasian black vulture. Indeed, the Cinereous Vulture feeds on carrion of almost any type, from the largest mammals to fish and reptiles. This is a very large bird species with a wingspan of from 8 feet 2 inches to 10 feet 2 inches in adults. Adult males may weigh up to 25 pounds, while females can attain weights as much as 31 pounds. Note the chick on the nest here with the mother. This clearly illustrates the cycling of nutrients not just to higher levels within an ecosystem, but also from one generation to the next. And here we see a pair of Cinereous vultures, probably a male and female, coming to the spring to wash themselves and get a drink of water as well. The little owl consumes insects and even some small rodents, so it competes somewhat with the Pallas Cat for the same food resources. Little owls are often found near livestock stables in the Mongolian Steppe. It is getting late in the day and night is clearly upon us. We see a red deer fawn lying down in the grass, its standard defense when it feels threatened at night. The Korsak Fox is now actively hunting and the Pallas Cat must be wary of it. But potential prey for the Pallas Cat is also active now, and our mother must venture out to feed both herself and her kitten. Indeed, the Siberian Jerboa, better known as the Mongolian kangaroo, is active now and is a potential prey of the Pallas Cat. And here we see the Pallas Cat mother reacting to one of 9 camera traps that we placed in her den area. She is very wary of this strange structure that has invaded her domain, with a red blinking light. She doesn't know what to make of it, and slowly backs off, staring at it. On the other hand, her kittens display no fear at all of this strange object, the camera trap. And we see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 kittens in all. And here we observe the 4 kittens returning. There's the 4th one. And here comes Mom. All of them are quite active at night. This male Pallas Cat kitten is clearly upset about something. It looks as though his anger is directed at his mother. She seems to have just finished eating something. Perhaps he felt he should have shared in what she ate. He seems to make an angry leap at his mother. Mom still clearly doesn't know quite what to make out of these camera traps with their blinking red lights. And here we see the kittens following Mom as she sniffs along the substrate, no doubt looking for some prey. And here we see a silver vole that has ventured into the Pallas Cat den area. One has to perhaps admire this vole's audaciousness, although question its wisdom. Indeed, the Pallas Cat mother is soon on the trail of this silver vole. The silver vole was probably not very long for this world. The next day, we see a lone Pallas Cat adult in a different area. Pallas cats exist in naturally low densities and are poorly adapted to avoid predators. Their dependence on specific habitats makes them vulnerable to many threats. The fur of the Pallas cat is luxuriant and valued on local fur markets. As many as 50,000 Pallas cats were killed per year for their pelts in the early 1900s. Pelts are sometimes sold in China and Russia, but these cats are supposedly protected because of the rodent killing they do around human habitations, and hunting was banned in 1988. Many of the furs remain within the local populace and go into the sewing of caps, gowns, collars, and ladies' fur coats. The fur is prized for its warmth and durability. Habitat degradation by increased human presence, agriculture, and livestock are depleting the natural prey base of the Pallas cat. Domestic dogs are a key predator, and human factors, including dogs, account for 56% of deaths in central Mongolia. The cats are sometimes mistakenly killed by marmot hunters, who are targeting one of the Pallas cat's main prey species. The population in Mongolia is threatened by overhunting and poaching. Pallas cats can be legally hunted for, quote, household purposes, unquote, and hunters can obtain permits from local governments. Law enforcement is weak, however, and there are often no effective controls. Pallas cats are hunted for their fur, which is sold to Chinese traders for manufacture into hats and coats for Russia and Chinese markets. They are also sought for body parts and used locally for medicinal purposes, such as using their fat to relieve frostbite. Perhaps the most serious threat to this small cat is the government-sanctioned poisoning campaigns to control pika populations, which take place on a large scale in Russia and China. Pallas cats that consume these poisoned rodents then also may secondarily become victims of this poison and die. Globally, they are listed by the IUCN as a near-threatened species with a declining population. The best hope for the Pallas cat is that the inaccessibility and isolation of their habitat will keep their numbers from becoming too severely decimated. Conservation measures must include improving law enforcement efforts and revamping the hunting permit system. You can become active in conserving the Pallas cat and other wild cat species by donating to the World Wildlife Fund. You can also donate to the International Society for Endangered Cats, based in Canada. And one of the best ways to conserve Pallas cats in central Mongolia is to arrange for a safari to find them. You can contact via Facebook Gangtulga Jamsran, known as Manul Gana. He may just be the best Pallas Cat guide in the world. Do note that such an eco-tour brings revenue to the village and gives the villagers a financial incentive to conserve the Pallas Cat. Excellent eco-tour organization and chauffeur services can be obtained through Enktyvan Turbat, known as Tyvan. Tyvan can be found on Facebook. It is certainly hoped that future generations can enjoy the beauty of the Pallas Cat.